US President Joe Biden has brushed off MAGA Republican heckles to highlight his reform visions and put China on notice during his second State of the Union address. Joining me now to reflect on the speech, Professor Simon Jackman, US political expert, and he's with the University of Sydney. Simon, thank you as ever. Look, call me a bit sceptical.
Good, Tom.
I get there's a bit of vision outlining here, but how many hearts and minds are ever changed by these State of the Union addresses? I mean, they're always up in lights. Do they change presidencies?
Yeah, look, good question, Tom. We need to get some polling data back. Biden right now has got an approval rating that puts him sort of in the middle of the pack for presidents at this stage of their term. He's come off his lows from the last American summer 35s. He's back in the low 40s. You can win re-election from that point, but I think they would like to see a few more runs on the board on the economy, and that translating into better approval numbers for Biden as that 2024 election gets close. But make no mistake, Tom, that speech was Biden laying out the case for his re-election, addressing, number one, concerns on his own side of politics, that he's up for the job and he's got the medal, and as well as talking to middle America. But game on for Joe Biden.
So, do we take from that, we've been inching towards this, and clearly post-midterms he felt better about his own future. But from here on in, barring something unusual happening, Joe Biden is likely to be, again, the Democratic nominee. Is that your view?
Yeah, it is, Tom. I think you begin always with the presumption that absent a political catastrophe, the incumbent president has first right of refusal on seeking a second term. That's sort of, it's a very hard bridge to cross, to unseat a president or to deny an incumbent president a chance at running, even when they're as old as Joe Biden, number one. Number two, though, the state of the economy, I think, is huge lead in the saddlebags for Democrats. And interestingly, Tom, this very interesting dance between the parties at the moment in the United States. If Donald Trump is the nominee, then Biden wins. And I think Democrats can see enough polling data and understand the state of the country. That would likely be the outcome of a 2024 if it were a rematch of 2020. If, though, Donald Trump is not the nominee, then I think Democrats start scratching their heads. Do we want an 80-year-old plus Joe Biden going up a younger, more dynamic, perhaps less scary to the general electorate Republican candidate? That could be DeSantis, it might be someone else. But I think decisions on both sides are sort of, they're coordinating on the choices of the other one at the moment. So it's a little bit of wait and see game at the moment. The news for Biden, though, strong speech, and if the economy can recover a bit, it puts him in a really prime position heading into 24, Tom.
Yeah, massive. I mean, if inflation is actually under control and it's a soft-ish landing, yes. And look, I know you mentioned his age, always careful not to be ageist. He's 80. I mean, I'll be happy if I can navigate the form guide there, let alone walking around with a nuclear briefcase. So there's no doubt age is going to be a factor. Buy America.
It is a factor, absolutely.
It is a factor. Buy America. We heard from Joe Biden and what this might mean for Australia.
Look, Tom, it was a long speech. There was a lot in there, but my ears pricked up on a very strong Buy America push in the speech. Now, why did they do that? Because sitting here in Australia, you're thinking about, if I'm an Australian exporter and I'm hearing a very strong Buy America message in that speech, it's one thing, I think, allies of the US, everybody around the world, not just allies, looks at the US, a big market, a big trading partner. Are they putting up the shutters on a commitment to free trade? Now, that's of special interest to Australia, given how does that cut across some of the commitments the US has made to us as a very close, a very important ally. I'm thinking of sort of the hard yards that Joe Hockey and his predecessors did as ambassador, trying to keep the protectionist impulses that come out of both sides of American politics, how to keep Australian interests immune from that, playing up strategic relationship, number one, the way we plug into critical supply chains, but also doing hard yards, eking out exemptions for players like BlueScope Steel, for instance, number one. But I heard that, and you just know the Australian Embassy and DFAT in Canberra and the elements of the business community have to take that extremely seriously. It's a bit of a bromide in State of the Union speeches, but the way Biden hit it this time, he hit that one very hard, Tom. And just keep an eye on that space over the weeks, months to come.